Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to NT Racing League. Now this is going to be footage from round 3 of the championship, and we headed out to Asia for the first time, going onto the Suzuka East Course. So it's the short layout for this track. The reason all these tracks are pretty much the short layouts, or smaller tracks in general, is because it actually helps with the racing. It keeps it close. Obviously these cars are not the most powerful cars in the world, so if we're doing like 2-3 minute laps, it's going to kind of upset the flow. The whole point of this championship is to keep it as close as we possibly can. Now this is going to be the first actual time that we have a new car entering the championship. So like I said previously, the Roadster S has been phased out by the brand new NR-A. So you're going to see the Mazda championship first. So it's going to be the Roadsters, then you're going to have the Minis, and then we'll get into the main event, the Super Tourers. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some of my Racing League highlights. So up first, like I said, the Mazdas. Okay, so it's a bit weird this one. Actually on pole is myself. Archangel actually set a lap in a group 4, which automatically gave him pole position, so that's why the grid's a bit muddled up. So it was actually myself that got the bonus points for pole. In terms of the whole grid, it was quite mixed up. There was lacking a few cars throughout some of these races. You're going to see in terms of the actual grid themselves, there's a lot of full-time drivers either wasn't there, or we've lost a couple of drivers. So it was all kind of last minute, and that's kind of why I didn't even stream the event as well. The first one I've actually missed out on streaming. We kind of mostly did it kind of behind closed doors, just to relax and try and get everything together as best as possible. And do you know what, it was actually a whole heap of fun. It was a lot more kind of relaxed and less stressful when you're kind of trying to run a stream and run a league at the same time. Yeah, so it was actually quite a good event. There was a few kind of moments which caused a lot of kind of controversy, and yeah, as you can see though, this is the first race for the brand new Mazda NR-A, just coming in time for this round. And as you can see, it still does suffer from that little snap, as I've kind of just pushed it a little bit too hard and had another off. So honestly, at this point, after taking the original round win at Brands Hatch, yeah, I've had 2 pretty bad rounds where I've just flung myself into a barrier under braking. It just seems to be a characteristic of the Roadster. So yeah, a bit of a nightmare, that one. I'm going to say, for me personally, that's my Mazda championship, pretty much over and done with at this point. Up front though, we had Demon taking the lead away from Alexander. He's now P2, Archangel P3, Timo, the king of the Mazda Roadsters, in P4, Jace P5, Largent P6, Steve P7, Psychic, he's in P8. He's a stand-in for this round. Same with Tommy Hawk, he's standing in for, I believe, Honda, or maybe BMW, I'm not quite sure. But as you can see, that accident put myself all the way down in P11, and then we've got Ramsey, Jody, Viper again not having the greatest rounds in the Mazda. He's P14 with Adam in P15. So quite a mixed up group, plenty of points to steal away from each other here, and we'll see who's going to eventually be crowned. A little bit later on though, we had Timo on the charge. He is literally the king of the Mazda Roadsters. He's so good in them. He did take, I believe, the race victory last time out, and he's going to be looking to do the exact same here. He's very, very quick in them. He's absolutely amazing on his 1-lap pace. I don't know how he manages to do it. He just seems to be able to pull things out of absolutely nowhere, and I think the main thing with him is his consistency. So he's going to go around the outside and take a position away from Alexander there and get himself into P2. A little bit further on, and we had Jace and Alexander having a little bit of a bump around in the Mazda Roadsters. Alexander having a much more consistent round so far, but he does have a ½ second penalty, and that's going to cost him at least 1 position to Jace, as well as maybe to Mr. Consistent Largent himself. As you can see, he's going to end up getting passed as well, sadly. So Alexander just getting, I feel like, a bit frustrated with the Mazda, and I feel like a lot of us really are. It's such an awkward car, so it may appear for season 2 or it may not. Up front though, it was a last lap battle, and Timo was wanting to take the win. Obviously the king of the Mazdas fending off Demon here, who has also just picked up the pace since Brands Hatch, absolutely out of nowhere. They're going to bump, they're going to bash, and they're both going to pretty much come come off, but it's going to be Timo that's going to come off much worse, and sadly he's going to have to settle for P2, with Demon taking the win in the Mazdas. Nice P1 for him after their battle at the Glen as well. So Timo's P2, Jace P3, Largent P4, Alexander taking P5. Steve, he's going to have a very good round. He is going to take P6 overall in the Coors Light livery. The Binners here P7, Tommy Hawk on his debut taking P8, Archangel P9 dropping all the way back after, you know, essentially starting first. Sidekick's going to round out the top 10 for the Mazdas, with Viper in P11. Myself having a very bad round, down in 12th. Absolute nightmare round for myself. Ramsey, he's going to take P13 as he rounds the final corner and comes up to cross the line. We've got Adam, he's finished P15 as you can see there on the leaderboard. And then last off we're going to have Jody finishing off the Mazda places by taking P14. So not last, but a little bit behind the rest of the pack. So in terms of the point standings for the Mazda Roadster Cup after round 3 at Suzuka, we have Timo leading the way on 155 points, with Demon very close behind. It's almost a 2-horse race. He's got 140 points in P2. In P3 we've got Jace, the third and final one in the 100-point kind of category. He's got 105 points. P4 is Largent with 95 points. Myself P5 with 92 points after 2 fairly disappointing rounds at both Watkins Glen and Suzuka. Alexander, he's P6 with 65 points, just a bit back from myself. Steve with 40 points in P7. In P8 we've got the Binners here with 32 points. P9 Andy with 29 points, sadly unable to make this round. In P10 we've got Archangel with 26 points. P11 is Ultimate Player with 25 points, a stand-in from way back at Brands Hatch now. Vinny, sadly a full-time driver that's left on 23 points. Viper P13 with 20 points. Adam, he's P14 with 15 points. Tommy Hawk, the stand-in for this round, P15 with 15 points. Froggin P16 with 10 points. Sidekick P17 with 9 points. Jody P18 with 8 points. Ramsey P19 with 5 points, and Reed P20 with 4 points. So up next was the Mini Cooper Challenge, and there was plenty of points on offer. Now the Mazda and the Mini only have a single race each round, so points are critical, and we've got myself leading the pack away yet again, so that's another 5 points for pole. So even though I got pole in the Mazda, I did have an awful round, and well, it's going to be the exact same here. So we're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Timo's going to get himself up the inside, give myself a little nudge, and I'm going to do some front wheel drive spinning. Going to get it in the gravel, but going to manage to keep it out of the barrier and keep going. However, within one corner I have gone from P1 to P15, so an absolute disaster yet again. And again, it's my Mini Cooper Challenge championship pretty much, you know, gone and out the window at this point. Obviously points very critical, you need to be so consistent to keep yourself up the grid. So Timo does lead the way after that little bit of a move on the inside, with Jace just behind him. Jace being very consistent in the minis, having 3 great rounds really. So Timo's leading the way. As you can see, he's going to hold off Jace as we go down the main straight to come on to lap 2. We've got Archangel in P3, a very good round for him. He seems to do very well in these minis, to be honest. So Jace is going to keep on chasing Timo. Archangel just behind, like I said, in a podium position. So getting, you know, improving by the round really. He does seem to be getting on very well with the minis though, especially we've got Alexander in P4. He's again another consistent driver in the minis, you know, carrying on battling away for the championship. Viper again another good driver in the minis, he's P5. Steve in a very good P6, definitely improving in his second round in the championship. Jody P7, excellent driving from her, again improving by the round, and she's probably going to have her best round overall, you know, this time around in round 3. Demon, he's P8, he's dropped out of the points. So we've got the Binners here, I believe, going off with Sidekick as well, the standing in the matte black Mini. Largent's going to go around the outside though, Mr. Consistent, not having the most consistent of races here. Quite far down for him. We've got myself in P11. Again, obviously going to have to do a bit of a comeback. So we've gone from P15 to P11 by the time we hit up lap 3. Tommy Hawk and the Binners here are P12 and P13. Ramsey P14, and Adam, he's going for a little dip in the grass there. So he's P15, rounding up the standings as we go on to lap 3. A little bit later on, and Jace was absolutely dominating, pulling away from the rest of the pack. Alexander, though, he was on an absolute charge, and we did actually lose Timo, though. That is why Jace has now inherited the lead, you know, connection issues and all that. It does seem to happen quite a bit to poor old Timo. However, a little bit later, myself, I decided to make a move and continue my little bit of a comeback drive, get myself into P6, overtaking Stee there on this very twisty section of the track. However, it wasn't going to be lasting for long, as we decided to again overshoot it, overcook it, and run nice and wide there. It's going to lose a single position there, so I'm going to drop down to P7 and just have to start holding Largent off, who seems to have found a bit of pace all of a sudden. However, it wasn't going to be long before we managed to make the move on Stee again, with Largent just behind. It was all kind of a bit of chaos, and we managed to get the move done as Off-Road Atom decided to essentially just block the racing line through there, especially when you're free wide. Sometimes it can't be avoided. A little bit of a nightmare there. Then Alexander, he decided to go front wheel drive drifting yet again in the minis, and this time it's going to cost him a position to Viper. However, Viper does have a ½ second penalty, so I'm pretty sure Alexander's going to get that position back come the end. However, there was only going to be one person that could win this after Timo dropped out, and that was going to be Jace. A very dominant drive from him, awesome driving. He's going to take P1 and win his first Mini Cooper Challenge race. And then Alexander, he's going to take P2. Again, a very good drive from him. Did get himself past Vipers. Viper spins there. Demon gets P3. Archangel's going to give me a nice little tap across the line to make sure I don't get that position. So Arch did end up P4. Myself P5. Largent P6. Viper, he's eventually going to take P7. Not quite sure what happened there. Spinning it out the final corner. Gutting for him. The Binis here, P8. Ramsey, P9. Very good round for him. Psychic, he's going to get P10. He's going to round out the top 10. Steve's going to get P11. I'm not sure what happened to him. He dropped way back towards the end. Tommy Hawk, he's going to take P12. Jody, again, another one that dropped out of a great position in P13. And Adam's going to round us up for the Mini Cooper Challenge, as only 14 finishes happened after Timo dropped out. So the point standings for the Mini Cooper Challenge, let's have a look. We've got Jace leading the way, but he is joint with P2, and that is Alexander. So head-to-head battle for them going into round 4. That's very, very impressive. Myself, somehow, I've managed to keep my, championship slightly alive, but I'm kind of just dropping away from the front two there. I'm now P3 with 110 points. Demonetized Vet, he's P4 with 97 points, not the best of rounds for him. Largent P5, Mr. Consistent, again, not the best of rounds of him, but he's going to take away 80 points overall. Vipers P6 with 75 points. Arch P7 with 59 points. P8 is Timo with 50 points after dropping out from the lead due to connection issues. Andy, obviously not taking part in this round, he's got 40 points. P10 is the Binners here, 28 points. Ultimate Player, 20 points are standing from Brands Hatch. Steve's got 18 points in P12. P13 is Adam with 15 points. P14 is Vinny with 13 points, obviously left the league. P15 is Jody with 11 points. Ramsey P16 with 10 points. Psychic P17 with 9 points. Frog in P18 with 9 points. P19 is Reed with 9 points. And then Tommy Hawk rounds us up with P20 with 7 points. So that's how the Mini Cooper Challenge looks after round 3. Obviously a single race for those and the Mazda. Now let's get into our 3 main feature races with the Super Tourers at Suzuka. So it's going to be our first wet race, and Demon's going to get underway in his Genesis 4-wheel drive, absolutely launching off the line. Same with Largent, getting a bunch of positions up, and Viper as well. I've got myself in P2 in the Mazda. Obviously the wet conditions are going to kind of mix the grid up quite a bit. There's going to be some drivers that are better in the wet than others, and it's going to be a close fought battle as we go door to door with Demon to try and get the lead. On lap 1 we're going to manage to get that move done, and we're going to manage to cover him off, but are we? No, we're going to go side by side yet again. It seems like me and Demon are having a fair few close battles in these last couple of rounds, especially at Watkins Glen, but obviously due to that downshift issue it did cause me to obviously lose a ton of positions and some pretty, what should have been an easy race win for the race 1 there. Demon has gone off, although he's managed to keep himself in P3. So in this little Mazda we have a bunch of 4-wheel drive cars behind, as well as the front front wheel drive Renault of Timo just a little bit more back. So we're going to lead the way as we go into lap 2. Largent obviously in second in the Subaru, a ton of pace in that car, especially in the wet, a ton of grip, as well as Demon in P3. So Largent's going to keep on pushing to try and get that lead away from me. Demon's P3, Timo P4, again another consistent driver. Jace P5 in the BMW. Rear wheel drive is going to be a bit slippy in these conditions. Then we have the front wheel drive Suzuki of Alexander a little bit further down. He's going to continue to try and push his way up the grid, especially with the grip the front wheel drive little Suzuki does have. Viper, he's P7 in the second of the Genesis cars. Again, he's going to have a pretty good round, you know, overall really in the Super Tourers. Archangel P8 in the first of the Toyota cars, followed just behind by Jody, who's actually, I believe, in P9 there, so that's her best kind of position so far in the Super Tourist. So the Mazda looking quite racy in the wet. Then we've got an invitational car of Psychic, so he's not actually going to be getting points for this because we do actually have 3 BMWs in this race, so that's going to be invitational points only, no manufacturer points for them. However, Tommy Hawk can. He's now P10 in the Team BMW, the manufactured livery car. Steve, he's going to get up the inside of Psychic as well. He's going to take P11. That's the second of the Toyotas. Probably not a position he wants to be in. However, Tommy Hawk's going to make a mistake and he's going to get himself inside the top 10. So that's much better from him. Then we have the Honda of the Binners here, not having the best of rounds, quite far back there, as we've got a yellow flag out. I'm not quite sure what that's for. There's a car in the gravel there by the look of it. We've got Adam, he's P14 in the second Subaru. Definitely not a great round for him, and I believe it was Ramsey P15 there, as you can see, in the second of the manufacturer Hondas. He's then holding his teammate up. So as we finish off, we've got myself leading away into lap 4. So it's going to be a disaster for both Jace and Alexander as they're trying to lap the Subaru of Adam. He's going to be on the racing line. Alexander's going to plow into the back of him, and it's actually going to be a very nice shot actually by Alexander, who essentially launches the Subaru into the side of Jace. So Jace now dropping back all the way to P8. That will be gutting for him. A bit further on though, we've further up the grid, sorry, we've got Largent and Demon getting into a bit of a fight there. As you can see, Largent tapping Demon into a bit of a spin. This has allowed Timo then to get on the back of him. It's actually Largent that comes off worst of all. Timo working his way through into a podium position, but not quite being able to get the move done on Demon. So Demon getting away with that, only just, but he did manage to obviously get away with that. Now he's got to hold off the charging Timo. Now the track did start drying up and there was a dry line. So some people did decide that they were going to take a set of dry tyres, and the first to do this was Jace on lap 6. With nothing to lose, he's going to drop himself to P13 and try and charge himself through the field as the track dried up a bit more. Steve though, he's going to then have a bit of a moment, as you can see, running wide there. That's actually going to cost him a position to Jody, who's actually going to get herself into P8, as well as Psychic going past as well. And I believe that was the Honda of the Binners here, not quite being able to get that move done. So that's going to be gutting for him, but he does remain inside the top 10 for now anyway. Timo though, he's then going to have a bit of a moment with Alexander. These pair coming together quite a bit this round. He's going to try and get in the pit lane, end up getting a little nudge from Alexander, as well as a half a second penalty. So the pit lane very awkward to get in. Then Alexander, he's going to decide he wants to pit, and he's going to go onto the dry tyres now, trying a bit of a move last off. But however, there was only going to be one winner. We managed to keep it going on the intermediate tyres, and we're going to take our first race victory in a while after a disappointing round at Watkins Glen to keep our championship alive and running. So it's P1 for myself. Largent, he's going to have a very good drive. He's going to get P2 after not pitting as well. So great result for him. Then, as we can see, Viper's going to actually get his first podium of the championship. P3 for him in the Genesis. P4 for Demon. Pitting just not quite the I guess tactic overall really. Timo P5, Jace P6, great recovery from him. Alexander P7 after that frustrating moment with Timo, you know, in regard to the pit stops and stuff. Archangel, he's going to get P8, keeping both Toyotas inside the top 10, which is a great result for them in their battle to climb off of that final spot in the manufacturers. Stee again, he's going to take P9, so Toyota 8 and 9, great results for them. Jody's going to round us up with P10, so she's going to get her first top 10 of the season. Great result for her with Sidekick P11. The bin is here P12, and as you can see just down a bit, there's yeah, quite a bit going off. Now on to our reverse grid race, and it's going to be a bit of a cluster to start with. Off-world Adam not getting a very good start at all, so he's going to instantly drop back. That's going to allow Jody and Archangel to go side by side into turn 1. Archangel going a little bit deep there, pushing the Mazda wide, and that's going to cause her to lose quite a few positions. We can see Stee and the other Toyota going massively wide as well. So yeah, Jody losing a bunch of positions there due to that bit of a kind of awkward racing line, as we'll call it, by Archangel. A little bit cheeky, and it's yeah, caused quite a bit of offs, should I say, a bit further down the grid, as we've got one of the Hondas in the gravel. That's looking like the bin is here. I believe Ramsey's running the green wheels, while the bin is running the standard black manufacturer wheels. So as we go on to lap 2, Archangel's going to continue to lead the way after that a bit of a naughty move. I'm not going to penalise him for that, but yeah, it's not a good look really, is it? Especially after what happened in the minis between me and himself. So we're going to look down the grid. We've got myself P5, Tommy Hawk P6, great driving from him. Jody's now dropped to P7 after that rocket of a start up against the Toyota, so she's going to be a bit frustrated with that. Viper, he's P8 as we've got a car going wide there and for a spin, and that's Ramsey in the other Honda, so he's going to be a bit frustrated with that as his teammate goes through into P9. Jace P11, not really getting much done early doors. I think a lot of kind of offs and quite a bit of damage going on. Demons P11, Steve P12, Ramsey P13, and Offroad Adams having a spin on the final straight, so not quite sure what happened there. However, it wasn't long before karma came to Archangel, and Alexander made his move, as well as Largent giving him a nice little tap on the rear, and now he's essentially surrounded by 4 other cars. So essentially a 5-car battle down the straight. Now this is a recipe for disaster, so who's going to come out on top? Timo absolutely rocketing down the straight in the Renault. He's going to go through the corner, as well as Alexander, myself and Largent. Archangel running a bit wide there, I believe. Yeah, there he goes into a spin, so he's going to drop back as the pretty much the usual 4 battle it away at the front, minus Jace, who's just not having the best of rounds in Suzuka, so that's going to cost BMW quite a few points. But Timo leads the way, the front wheel drive machines being almost unmatched at Suzuka. Very, very good round here. So Timo's going to lead the way with Alexander P2. They're in a very close battle yet again, so that, you know, things getting heated up between the 2 front wheel drive manufacturers of Suzuki and Renault. So yeah, I mean, after what happened in race 1, I'm not going to be, you know, quite sure what's going to happen there. We've got myself in P3 with Largent in the 4-wheel drive Subaru, just hanging back off the pack. Now, as I can see, both of these are going side to side, so I'm going to try my best just to hold back a little bit, just in case anything actually goes off between these two, with how heated it can get at times. I was not taking any kind of risk there. So Viper, a little bit later on, he went for a trip through the gravel, and this is going to allow Jody and a bunch of other cars to go through, including Jace and the Binners here in the Honda. Again, single-handedly pretty much carrying that manufacturer through this championship. And yeah, a little bit later though, we continue the battle of Timo and Alexander, but once again Alexander's going to run into yet more trouble with a back marker, the exact same back marker as before Adam, on the racing line, and Alexander's just basically going to plow into the back of him, dropping him quite a bit back from Timo in the Renault. Timo though, he carried on his charge even later on in the race. He's absolutely flying at this point. As you can see, he's still got the gap over Alexander. However, Alexander's got a bit of a gap to myself, so you know, quite a few gaps forming, but Timo was pretty much on point yet again. He seems to be the king of reverse grid races. He obviously won the previous one out at Watkins Glen as well, so Alexander, he's going to be trying to chase him down the best he can, but P2 is very good for his championship hopes, really, as he is essentially a place above me. So as long as he keeps getting more points than me, he's still going to keep himself right right up there. Largent P4, Tommy Hawk in the second of the BMWs, essentially first on track. He's having a very good round. He's P5, Demon P6, not the best of rounds for him after the wet race really. Archangel's P7 after Karma came to him quite early on. We've got Jace P8, Viper P9 in the second Genesis. Steve rounds out the top 10 in the Toyota. Jody P11 holding off the Binners here, as you can see. So it's getting a little bit heated between those two. I wonder if anything will happen. And then we have the 13th out of 14 cars being Ramsey sat in the gravel. So yeah, Honda just not having a great round. What essentially is their home race. Tima though, he's going to hold off Alexander all the way to take P1. Another reverse grid win for him. Alexander P2 very well charged down after that off, or should I say, you know, moment with the lap car. Myself, we're going to get P3 a little bit sideways. Largent, he's going to get P4 for Subaru. Mr. Consistent himself, always, you know, consistent as ever in that car. He seems to really suit his driving style, so I'm pretty sure he'll stay with them going into the future. Demon, he's going to get P5. He's going to recover quite well. Jace P6. Archangel, he's going to get P7, or is he? Because Viper looks like he's charging quite hard out of that final corner. And yeah, I think he's just got the drive out the corner. He's going to get P7, Viper P8, Tommy Hawk dropping back in the later stages to P9. We've got the Binners here, P11, Jody P12, and as you can see, Ramsey P13. So it's going to be Steve who rounds out the top 10 in the Toyota. So let's move on to the final feature race, the pit stop race, and we have Alexander leading the way with myself in P2. He's going to get bonus points for that, and that's going to be essentially the championship kicking off yet again between myself and him. However, he's going to get sandwiched very early on by both the Genesis and the Subaru, obviously being four-wheel drive, and pretty much able to launch off the line like no tomorrow. It's unreal how quick those things are off the line. So we've got myself now leading the way on lap 1 with Viper in P2 and Demon in P3, so both Genesis in podium positions. However, Team Mazda did have a little bit of a team talk, and we decided that we wanted a different strategy. Tyre did not seem too bad around Suzuka, so we're actually going to do a cheeky little, you know, first lap pit stop. So you're going to see both Mazdas jump into the pits, so we're going to absolutely tumble down the order as everybody else is going to go through pretty much, as well as Jody also in the second Mazda jumping into the pits. But where is that actually going to put us? Now, it's a very high-risk move actually pitting on lap 1. Obviously, it's a 20-lap race. Now, it either could go in our favour or it could absolutely backfire and cause us to have massive grip issues come the halfway point, maybe even later on. So we're going to see a lot of different strategies here. So I'm going to be the first car. I'm going to get myself out underway actually in P11 as Ramsey is now P12. Jody, she's going to get herself underway and she's going to come out. Is she going to manage to beat Ramsey out of the pits? No, not quite. So she's actually going to go last. So there's a car between myself and her. So we've essentially pitted from the lead and took a high-risk strategy. So Viper actually leads the way. He does have a half a second penalty. He's leading the way over Timo, who seems to be having an absolute great round here at Suzuka. Very aggressive and hard racing. However, he just seems to have plenty of pace as he takes the fastest lap. He's going to go side by side with Viper after he's served his penalty. He's going to go around the outside and then tuck back in for the turn 1. Obviously a bit of an awkward corner this. If you get it wrong or get it up on them curbs, you can guarantee you're going to go sideways. Steve is P3. That's a very good result for him to be in a podium position here. However, he does have the very fast and hard charging Largent behind him. The Binners here, he's P5. That's a much better result for Honda as he has a little bit of an off, but he's managed to keep it going. Archangel in the second Toyota, P6. So both Toyotas in the top 6. Demon, he's not having the best of rounds now. He's down in P7. Tommy Hawk, again, very good in this BMW. He's sat in P8. He's just leading the way from myself in P9. As we can see, Jace, another car that's decided to pit early, I believe. And we've just managed to come out ahead of him. So not a bad strategy. Same with Alexander. He's done his early pit stop. So P12 for Jody, she's just been beaten out by the likes of Jace and Alexander, and then obviously Ramsey down in P13. Now it's quite a significant race for the standings this, because we don't have a full grid, so you're going to basically have a ton of mix-up within the standings, people able to take points away from, you know, people that may not have originally been able to. So Steve, he's going to be the next up to pit, as you can see, and Jody, is she going to get out just ahead of him? Let's find out. So he comes out the pits, Jody comes down the main main straight. Is she going to manage to get that position done? Yes, she is, just. So she's going to take P11, Steve's going to take P12. So the grid is a bit mixed up though, obviously due to people, you know, diving in quite early on. Viper would be the next car to pit. He's actually going to take his on the very weird lap of lap 6, so he's not going to quite get to the halfway point. He's going to again be an early pit stopper. He's going to come out in P10, just behind you know, myself, Jace, Alexander, and all that lot of charging cars. He's going to bring himself ahead of Steve and ahead of Jody. Then it was time for the front stoppers to essentially, you know, do their pit stop. On lap 11, we had Timo, Demon, and Largen all pitting at the same time. Timo is going to come out in P2. He's actually going to, in fact, no, P3. So Jace and both myself getting through there. So let's go and have a look how Demon's going to get on. Where is he going to come out? He's then off the stands, and he's going to come straight out the pit lane. He's come out in P7, just behind Archangel and ahead of Steve. And Largen, he's actually going to drop behind Steve. So Steve having a very good race there, managing to hold off the Subaru. And Largen, well, he's not going to have the most consistent of rounds there. A little bit later on though, it was myself and Jace battling for the lead, obviously both early pit stops. However, this Mazda was just not great on its tyres. You know, I already started feeling a bit of wear, and when it kind of got overshot, we ended up going door to door, and Jace is actually going to come off the worst of both of us. So yeah, just tyre wear is going to play a massive factor in who's going to be able to win this race. I'm really starting to regret my Mazda strategy at this point, as we've got Timo charging as well as Alexander, and Jace just behind those. As well as Viper rounding out the top 5. Very good racing from him. He's having a very good round so far, to be fair. Not really put a foot, you know, really wrong in terms of the overall battle. However, it was only a matter of time before Timo would get his move done. Obviously, tyre wear, a massive issue as we go across the line to, you know, try and get onto lap 14. Timo's going to get it up the inside, push me a little bit wide. I'm going to end up in the gravel, and then Jace, well, he's going to work his way through as well. And I believe Viper just might get through there. Yeah, he has. So yeah, Viper again up into the podium positions. Very good round for him. Myself P4, and Alexander is down in P5, just a little bit back from myself. So, you know, I'm not quite sure what's happened there as we go to a lap at Jody, who's just not had the best around. I think the grip again just completely gone, and it's just caused us to drop back. And then again, we're going to have more grip issues, and this is going to send me into the gravel nice and wide, as well as Viper as well. I believe he got up on the curb. He's gone to put the power down, and it spun him around. So now it's all a little bit more mixed up again. So we've got Timo leading the way, Jace P2, Alexander now P3 on the podiums after both cars spinning out there. And then we've got myself P4. A little bit later on and in the dying stages, I had the second Genesis now trying to get on the back of me. And although I tried to make the car as big as I possibly could, I knew I did not have a chance against Demon, who was on much fresher tyres. Obviously, these tyres were put on at the end of lap 1, and they were just completely gone at this point. So he's going to be all over the back of me, and I've just not much I can really do. I'm going to try and hold him off for a good few laps, as much as I possibly can, obviously hoping I can get on the straight and use that great straight line speed of the Mazda to just hold him off, and then just kind of put myself in awkward positions and make him essentially go the long way around me. So he's going to keep on charging down the main straight. However, just a bit later on, lap 19, he was going to eventually get his move done. Obviously, a four-wheel drive, much fresher tyres. It was only a matter of time. He's actually going to go around the outside. It's going to put him in a much better position for the right-hander there. As you can see, give me a little nudge wide. We're going to go on the grass, and we just cannot fight back at that point. We do not have the tyre life. However, Timo, he's going to take his second win of the day. So I've took a win, and Timo's actually going to take 2 wins in terms of the championship. So that's going to boost Renault's hopes in the manufacturers, with Jace managing to get a nice recovery drive going. He's going to take P2. Very dominant from Timo. Jace P2. Alexander again keeping his championship alive by getting a higher place than me in P3. Demon, he's going to get P4, just holding me off. At the end, we almost had him, had the straight or the checker flag being a bit further down. I believe we could have possibly got him. Viper, he's going to get P6. Great result for Genesis. Largen is P7. So let's see him go up and across the line. There we go. Not the best round for him. The bin is here. P8. Great result for Honda. Steve's going to get P9. Tommy Hawk P10. Archangel P11. And Jody finishes us up in P12. So let's go and have a look at the overall Super Tourer standings as well as the manufacturers. So as we can see, in P1 we've got myself with 385 points. However, that gap just seems to stay at 15 points between myself and Alexander. He's P2 with 370 points. It's looking like me and him are sort of just having a head-to-head race with the title. However, Mr. Consistent Largent is now P3 in this Subaru with 315 points, the last of the cars in the 300 point category. So there is a chance that if we do start having bad rounds, he can easily sneak his way back up there. Timo, he's P4 after that awesome round there, 295 points. Jace P5, 295 points, level with Timo, so good battle going on there. Demon, not the best of rounds after his awesome weekend at Watkins Glen last time. He's going to be on 270 points. The bin is here, single-handedly carrying Honda in P7. Great result for him, 171 points, P7. P8 is Viper, 145 points. Arch is P9 with 115 points. Adam, P10, he rounds it out with 87 points. Empire, not being able to take part, is P11 with 80 points. Steve, P12, 74 points. Vinny, obviously not taking part anymore, with 52 points in P13. P14, Andy, obviously missing this round, 47 points. Jodie, 38 points in P15, a massive bunch of points for her, really massively improving over the Suzuka weekend. Tommy Hawk, he's 24 points, P16. Ramsey, P17 with 8 points. Psychic, P18, as well as the other few kind of, standings rounding out the points. So in terms of the manufacturers, let's have a look. We actually have Mazda on top for the first ever time, I believe. So we're going to have 423 points. However, Suzuki, 422 points, so a single point in it. Subaru round out the top three with 402 points. BMW 366, Genesis 360, Renault 348, and Toyota 189, and Honda last place with 185. That's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.